Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Can we confirm we can hear me? Right. Thank you for the confirmation. Great. Nathaniel, I believe. Good morning to you, sir. You're welcome. And then I see Festus as well. Good morning to you, sir. I see Aziz. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining. I see Clement. That has to be Clement. Good morning to you too, sir. Thank you very much. I see Michael. Good morning to you, sir. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Michael Wachuku, Clement Olari, thank you very much. Festus, you're welcome. It's great to have you. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much, Michael. Kingsley, thank you for joining, sir. Thank you for the confirmation. Patience as well. Thank you for joining. Right, thank you for the confirmation. Clement. Kenny, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining. Mr. Brown, thank you, sir. It's great to have you join us today. I see Phillips Eboluwa, thank you, sir. Kingsley, thank you. Victoria Olariwaju Gbega, thank you very much, my dear friend. All right, thank you for the confirmations, everyone who have confirmed so far. It's great to have you join us again on today's edition of our morning market review. Endurance, thank you. On watch me, that's it. Right, thank you very much. Right, so it's great to have you join us again on today's edition of our morning market review. Today, Tuesday, so first day of October. All right. Thank you very much. It's the second trading day of this week, of course. And it's great to have you join us again, like I said. And if it's your first time, thank you very much for joining too. You're most welcome. It's great to have you join us as well. And as a quick reminder, this forum every day, we get to look at what's going on in the markets as they concerns the fundamental events that we have, as well as the technical setups as well. And like I usually say that we do this with the hope that we'll be able to pick a few entries during the analysis and then trade ideas for today and even for the rest of the week, as well as instruments or assets that we can add to our watch list to keep an eye on for the rest of the week. Okay, so without further ado, we get right to it. And I would also like to add that this is also with the hope that when you have listened long enough, you're also able to come up with your own profitable strategies that um, eventually gives you an edge over the markets. Of course, it's all about the edge. Okay. So without further ado, let's get right to it. As usual, you're going to start with the majors and then from there we start looking at other pairs of interest, okay? Other pairs of interest. But before we do that, today we have the card CPI. All right, we have the card CPI, which if you check firstfactory.com, um, it's red, okay, and that means it's going to have a high impact on price, which means we are interested in that particular news, okay. It represents fantastic opportunity. We're going to have increased price movements when the data is eventually released later today. So we have the Canada CPI, and it's no longer news that uh, major economies are trying really hard to keep inflation in check globally. Okay, so for the card, the Bank of Canada's policy decisions seem to be on track so far. looking at the current inflation rate, which is around 1.85, 1.9%, so the last time it was released. And this is within the target range of 1 to 3%. That's the target range for Bank of Canada. And if you have been following uh, news from that region, Bank of Canada has been cutting interest rates. Okay, and the most recent cut brought the interest rate to about 2.5%. Yeah, I'm going to do that in a minute, Daniel. I'm going to do that in a second, just giving us a little overview of what to expect later today as regards the card CPI. Okay, so the data expected later today, of course, like I said, it's red. We check the firstparty.com, which means we're interested in that. All right, and it's an important indicator that is used to determine the rate of inflation, and it's released on a regular basis by major economies. So we have it for card today because it gives a very tiny glimpse to measure growth rate and then some inflation. Thank you very much, Austin Dave of here. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining. All right. So basically, higher inflation rate means that your money buys less because, of course, everything costs more. Okay. So the CPI, like I said, yeah, I don't have a screen up yet. Yes, just giving us a little background, like I said, as to the CPI data that we have from CAD. I don't have any screen as yet. Okay. So for today, the data CPI for CAD is expected to, according to the forecast value, be at minus 0.1%, okay, from a previous value of the same figure, minus 0.1%. So no change in that regard, according to consensus, okay? So what this means is that when it's released, 1:30 p.m., if the actual results, that's what we're interested in, if it exceeds the forecast value, this would indicate an increase, okay? An increase, that is, if actual is greater than forecast, is going to indicate an increase in inflationary pressures, all right? And this would lead to a stronger Canadian dollar if there is an increase, that is, if the actual is greater than forecast, okay? Okay, let me just share my screen so you see what I'm talking about. I'm just giving like a general overview. Just a second. Right, there you go. So I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, so I was talking about I was giving us a general overview of the CPI we have data today, 1:30 p.m. for the Canadian dollar. Okay, so I was saying that if the actual results, by the time it's released, if the actual results exceeds the forecast value, okay, and what that means is that it's going to indicate an increase in inflationary pressures, all right? And what that means is that it's going to lead to a stronger Canadian dollar. And therefore, if you look at pairs like Poundscard, for example, it's going to fall, all right, if you have a stronger card, because in that pair, we have pounds as the base and card as the counter currency. So if the card is stronger, that means that pounds is going to lose value against the card for that particular time, all right? And on the other hand, the Canadian dollar could also weaken if the CPI data falls short of the expected value. That is, we have a value that is much lesser than the forecast of minus 0.1%, all right? And of course, on the other hand, that would indicate less inflationary pressure than expected. Okay, and then you could expect the pound card pair to rise instead. All right, and that would reflect lower confidence in the strength of the Canadian economy. All right, that's just as a uh, simple background into the expectation for the card CPI that we have later today. Yeah, what I have for Michael is FredFactory.com. The preferred economic calendar to track news events and the data. Okay. Right about now, I'm going to switch to um, the trading platform. Okay, I'm going to switch to the trading platform. Yeah, Ike Adinde. I want to believe that I got that right. Okay, I want to believe so. Yeah, because of course you know that the card and crude oil have significant correlation in the markets, all right? Because like you said, Canada is the major oil exporter, all right? So what it means is that the value of the Canadian dollar tends to move in tandem, okay, with oil prices. That is, they move in the same direction. So when oil prices rise, the Canadian dollar rises as well. Okay, an important point to note. Okay, when oil prices rise, like I said, the Canadian dollar rises as well, and vice versa. All right. So if you look at a pair like the USD card, for that pair, when oil price rises, okay, the USD card tends to fall. Okay, and when oil prices drop, the USD card tends to rise, like we currently have. All right, if you have been following the crude oil price, you would notice that it has been falling. And then if you look at USD card on the other hand, you will see that it has been rising consistently. Okay, and then we'll get to that in a minute. Right. And for me, um, there's been a series of concerns for the brands. All right, there's been a series of concerns over excess supply and expectations. All right, so the OPEC has made an announcement that starting from November, I believe, they're going to increase oil supply. I think the figure is about 137,000 barrels per day. Okay, and that's going to create a surplus in the market, and that's the reason why oil prices have been falling. Okay, and it's not even November yet. We're just currently seeing that sentiment playing out on the chart. Okay, and you know how profitable oil can be. So it's going to be a fantastic time to put some money in oil. You don't even need oil well, you don't need tank farm, you don't need all of that. All right, it's just putting money in your trading accounts and simply clicking buy or sell on that trading platform, whether it's NC5 you have or NC4 platform. All right, so that's it for fundamentals. Right about now, I'm going to head over to the trading platform to see some technical setups that we have. Okay. I hope you got that. Ike Dende. Sorry if I pronounced that wrongly. Right, thank you. Okay, back on the chart now. And then we have the USD index. We have the USD index. I usually like to start from there to understand the direction of the dollar index so that we can relate this to the rest of the major pairs. All right. Once we understand the direction of the dollar itself, we can easily relate this to the rest of the major pairs. All right. So this is the dollar index. This is the daily time frame. Okay. Um, Firstly, I'm going to switch to the monthly time frame. All right. Now, let me be quick. All right. Let me be quick to add that the weekly or the monthly time frame. All right. We really don't pay attention to those two time frames. All right. Because I've mentioned this a number of times. Simple reason is because these two time frames are so far out that they really don't have much relevance to us as day traders. Okay. And I like to give the example that imagine if you're trying to spy on your neighbor, for example, and then instead of just using a ladder to peep at the window, you now take a rocket ship instead. All right. So what it means is that the rocket ship is now in space and it's so far out that you can no longer see the thing that matters to you. Okay. So that's the same reason we usually ignore weekly or monthly time frame, especially as day traders. However, you can still use them to get some perspectives in the markets. Okay, you can still use them to get some perspective, like I'm going to do for dollar index on the market time frame. Okay, so this dates back to far back as 2010. We have this ascending channel right there, has supported price multiple times. Okay, back here supported price a few pips away right there, and then here as well, price returns to that same level. And then fast forward to what we have here currently, we see that same trend line support, all right, also impacting price. And then from that point, we're seeing some push to the upside for the dollar index, okay, for the dollar index. Now we take that to so what that means is that this is the bottom for the USD index so far. This is the bottom for the USD index. So it's not surprising to see price push to the upside from that level. I remember when price got here, all right, when price got here, on this forum, it told us that because of this bullish engulfing candle, I can expect price to continue to push higher from that level. Okay, so back on to the daily time frame now. Right. On the daily time frame, we have the structure of an uptrend. We see series of higher highs and higher lows right there. Okay. So this has given us the most recent higher low. All right. And then we expect a new high. Okay. If the structure will stay intact, we expect a new high. All right. From the current level. I'm going to adjust this. Okay, right. So from this current level, we expect a new high. What does that mean? From this low at around 96 price level, from this low at around 96 price level, we see this high. All right. We see a higher low. Next to that, we see a new high, and then a higher low, yet another new high, and then the most recent higher low. All right. You see how that has been consistent ever since price tested the low at 96. Okay, you see higher high, you see higher low, you see higher high, you see higher low, you see higher high, and now we have higher low. So the expectation, all right, based on technical analysis, based on the technical outlook that we have here, is that we see yet another high. Okay, we see yet another high. Right. So to take advantage of that strength, okay, for the dollar index, what it means is that for pairs like Euro USD and even pounds USD, even AUD USD, looking for opportunities to sell, okay, as long as the structure remains intact for the dollar index, okay. So what does that mean? I'm going to take out these trend lines so they don't confuse us. Okay, so now we have price struggling to break above 98.6 resistance. Okay, it's been a struggle to take out that resistance. It's been a struggle for buyers to take out that resistance. And then if you look back to how that particular level impacted price in the past, it will not be surprising. Okay. Right here, okay. You see that the confluence of resistance back here as well. You see it yet again. Back here as well. See it yet again. And then here as support, here as support again. All right. If we continue to look back, we'll see how that particular price level impacted price in the past. So it's not surprising that we see this struggle currently. Okay. So currently price is or has hit a resistance at 98.6. All right, has hit resistance at 98.6. So let's take that to the 30 minutes time frame. Now, usually I like to start on the daily time frame. All right. I believe for me, it's the best place to start on the daily time frame. I can get the important support and resistance levels. I can get the key levels. So I use that as my anchor chart where the main analysis is carried out. And then I tune down to a much lower time frame for entry opportunities. Okay. I believe once you also master the art of analyzing multiple time frames like this, you continue to get a clearer, more accurate picture of the market. All right. And of course, you expect that to lead to smarter and more profitable decisions. Okay. So we have price hitting resistance at 98.6. All right, we have price hitting resistance at 98.6. So because of that resistance, we see price pushing away from there, all right, to create a higher low of 30 minutes, and then eventually we'd expect price to take out that resistance at 98.6. All right, the structure, the uptrend structure is still very much intact. All right, it's still very much intact for the dollar index. Okay, so what would be more convincing here is to now see price take out the resistance at 98.6. Okay, for the dollar index. Okay, so from this current level, what we need to see would be some bullish reversal patterns. Okay, we need to see some very bullish pressure rather from the current level. Okay, we need to see some bullish pressure from the current level. Let's see what we have for the moving out. Right. So you see how price is also above the 50 period moving average. Okay, price is also above the 50 period moving average. Let's see 20. Let's see how price reacts to the 20 or 21 period moving average. I mean, sheet them. Okay. All right. So again, from the current level, we need to now see some buying pressure, okay, or some bullish reversal pattern while still above the moving average. Okay, so we see that here, that we can have more conviction of price breaking and taking out the 98.6 resistance. Okay, right. So we take this to the rest of the major pairs now. Starting with the euro dollar, right? Starting with the euro dollar. Okay, so if we look at euro dollar, euro USD, and we say that we expect the USD to continue to push higher. Okay, for this pair, USD is the counter currency. Okay, for this pair, euro dollar, USD is the counter currency here. All right, so what that means is that if USD continue to push higher, then we can expect euro here against the dollar to continue to print lower prices. The euro dollar is essentially the inverse of the dollar index. All right, so for the euro dollar, we look for opportunities to sell. All right, we look for opportunities to sell. Right, so where's the best points to sell? That's the next question we need to ask ourselves. All right. So price broke below this support right here at 1.165 initially. Price broke below that support. If you look back, you will also see how that price level impacted price in the past. Okay, so breaking below it, automatically that level flips to resistance. Okay, so we see price push back to the resistance. It gave us some bearish confirmations at resistance. All right, and then we're seeing some fantastic from two right there. Okay, so this current level now, why do you see this falling? Okay, so I put my horizontal line there, then I go back to see what happened in the past at that same level. Okay, so I can see that at this current level, price is sitting on the support level. All right, so what does that mean? Now remember, to take advantage of the strength that we have in dollar, we're looking for opportunities to sell right here. Okay. And you also do not want to be selling at support as confirmed with this horizontal line. All right. You do not want to be selling at support. So two things for me here. Number one, I wait for price to retrace. Okay. I wait for price to retrace from the current level and then look for some selling pressure, and then that would be my trigger to sell. All right, that would be my trigger to sell. Let's also introduce the 21 period moving average to see how that interacts with price here. Okay, now usually this moving average acts as magnet for price. Okay, it usually acts as magnet for price. And if you look back to how price interacted with the 21 or 50 period moving average in the past, you'll see why they are quite important. Okay, so for me, the expectation is that I get some retracement to the 21 period moving average. All right, I get some retracement to the 21 period moving average, and then that would be my trigger to sell upon additional confirmation of some selling pressure around the moving average. Okay. On the other hand, if what we get is a close below the support, all right, remember we have support here based on the fact that we looked back and we see how price interacted with that same price level in the past, okay, which comes in around 1.16215. Okay, now I am more interested in selling because of the strength that we have in the dollar. And like I said, the euro dollar here is the inverse of the dollar index. Okay, so here I'll be waiting for a break below that support so that that level can also flip to resistance, and then I take my sell from resistance. Okay. So let's take that back to what we got here previously. Again, if you look at this level here at 1.165, that level, of course, initially was support for price. Eventually, price broke below that level. So that level automatically flipped to resistance. Price returned to test it as resistance, and then we saw that sell off from resistance, right? So in the same vein, we'll also at this current price level, which we're also waiting for price to break below this support at 1.16215. If you get a retest, fantastic, and then that will be our trigger to take sell from that level, right? Or on the other hand, if we get some retracement, some push higher, especially to the 21 period moving average, and then upon confirmation with some selling pressure at that level, that would also be the trigger to take sell. Okay. What would invalidate that is if you now get a close back above the resistance at 1.165, then that is going to invalidate the bearish bias for euro dollar. Okay. And for those that are scalpers, from the current level, if we confirm some bullish pressures, okay, from the current level, because price is now at support, and the rule says that we buy at support and sell at resistance, okay. We get some bullish reversal patterns from the current level. May also present some short opportunities to long euro USD, all right. But for me, I'm going to be waiting for price to break below support at 1.16215, and then I take my sell below that level. That's for euro dollar. Okay. Moving on to pound USD. Of course, similar to euro dollar. Okay. I hope we get to that in a minute. Endurance. Thank you, sir. Right. So for pound USD, I have this trend line here that I'm watching closely. So what that means for pound USD here, this is H4 time frame. This is H4 time frame. All right. I wanted to make this a little bit bold so it's more obvious. All right. So for pound USD, here again, USD is the counter currency here, and then if we expect USD index to continue to push higher, that means pound USD experience a decline. Okay, so from this current level, we're waiting for price to break below that support. You do not want to be selling at support. Okay, so again, we're waiting for price to break below support level at 1.338. Okay, so once price or sellers are able to take out that level, then that would be my trigger to short pound USD. That would be my trigger to short pound USD. Right. On the other hand, if we get some push higher from the current level, then I'll be looking towards higher prices to take my sell, especially back at 1.34165. Should we get price back on there? Let's see how this interacts with the 21 period. Okay, so if we get a push higher from the current level, then I'll be looking towards this area for the sell. Okay, I'm going to highlight this. Yeah, I'll be looking towards that area for myself if we get some push higher instead. Or on the other hand, like I said, a break below that support at price level 1.338 will confirm the bearish signal for pound USD. Right, so I'm going to be waiting for those two scenarios, either a push higher to the area I highlighted or a break below support at 338. Right. Moving on to NZD USD. This has been playing out quite brilliantly. How? You see this descending channel right here. Price has respected the two sides multiple times, the trendline resistance and the trendline support. You see multiple attempts to break out of that range. Okay. Eventually, we got a break to the upside, only for price to break back below inside of that descending channel. Okay, so typically we got a fake out right here, a breakout that failed. Okay, when price broke out of this range, it is expected that it continue to push higher. All right, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. It was quickly caught by resistance at 0.5994 or thereabout. Then we got that push back into that channel, right? Confirming the failed breakout, okay? And that gave rise to this push to the trend line support, all right? Got some retracement and then a push further down. Now, right about now, price is around the support area at 0.572. How did I confirm that? If you look back to how that particular level impacted price in the past, you see multiple attempts to break above or below uh, 0.572. Okay, so that's what we have on the daily time frame. Remember, we use the daily time frame to understand the key levels, the important support and resistance levels, so that we can make well-informed decisions. Okay, so having said that, I came down to the 30 minutes time frame for entry opportunities now. Again, we have our level at 0.572. Currently, price is below that, okay? So automatically that level flips to resistance, okay? So currently price is below resistance, all right? Then we have this level here. So what's the expectation for NZD USD? Now, again, USD here is the counter currency. We expect USD to continue to push higher from the current level, especially breaking above the 98.6 level that we highlighted earlier. Okay. Now, it's been a struggle for NZD USD because of this support level right here. Okay. So we may see some retracement back to 0.572, or a break below this support level at 0.57 would confirm the bearish move, all right? Would confirm the bearish signal that we expect for NZD USD in order to short NZD USD below 0.57128, okay? Like in case they want to drop what you have in the chart box, and then I'll definitely get to it. All right. Looking at DE40 for endurance. Okay, so on the daily time frame, I remember highlighting this inverse head and shoulder at the time it happened, this inverse head and shoulder. Okay, and then for inverse head and shoulder such as this pattern, what we expect would now be for price to break above the neckline, and that would be the confirmation to long, and that played out quite brilliantly for DE40. If you were on this forum when we highlighted this inverse head and shoulder, okay? Of course, price hit resistance at 24.626, and then since hitting that resistance, we've seen this push to the downside, all right, giving us series of lower highs and lower lows, right? Here, it created the last low right here, and now price pushed back above the previous low right here, okay? So we have this level here, okay? So endurance, like I said, you already have a buy trade, I believe. You already have a buy trade, okay, for DE40. Yeah, I believe your buy trade should be in profits since you said you have it since when? Since Friday, all right, since Friday. All right. So this is the level to watch. Okay, this is the level to watch. This level right here is the level to watch. Okay. You see how price retraced to that particular level right here. Okay, it broke below it, traced to it, and then created lower high here. All right. This push to the upside, price is now back above that level. Okay. So what it means is that we continue to see some buying pressure above this price level at 24,234. then you have information that price will continue to push to the upside, right? However, if you get it close back below that price level, then it will be gearing up for some further push to the downside. Okay, gearing up for some push to the downside based on the technical setups that we have right here. Okay. Next up, I would like to touch on USD CAD as well. I'd like to touch on USD CAD as well. Okay. Right. So it has been moving confidently within this ascending channel. All right, has been moving confidently thanks to the strength in the dollar. All right, and like I said, the Canadian dollar and crude oil have significant correlations in the market. Okay, because Canada is a major oil exporter. All right, so the value of the CAD moves in tandem with oil prices. All right, and check out what's going on uh, with OPEC, all right, there's been some concerns. Okay, there's been some concerns over excess supply, and recently, OPEC also made an announcement that starting from the beginning of November, there's going to be additional outputs of about 137,000 barrels per day. And if you check what we have on the oil chart, we see how that's really pushing to the downside, okay, based on that sentiment, because it's not even November yet, all right? And we're beginning to see that play out on the chart, okay? We're beginning to see how that plays out on the chart, right? So for USD CAD, we have this ascending channel, like I mentioned earlier. We have trendline resistance right there, around 1.41, and then we have support around 1.398. Okay, of course, it's still pushing to the upside. That's what we have on the daily time frame. Remember, I said we use the daily time frame to understand important uh, support and resistance levels. Okay, so now I head to the 30 minutes time frame. And what do we have right here? Okay, so on the 30 minutes time frame now, which is my preferred time frame for entry. Okay, so what I need to see here will now be a break above that resistance so that that level can flip to support, and then I'll be buying at support. All right, that's what it means. Right, that's what it means. That's the pattern I'm looking for on USD CAD. Okay, I need price to take out that resistance so that that level can flip to support, and then I'll be buying at support. Or on the other hand, if we get some retracement, okay, if we get some retracement, especially to the 21 period moving average, okay, we get some retracement, right, somewhere there. Then this will be the pattern that I look for. Okay. So from this resistance, we will get some retracement as a result of that resistance. We expect our sellers to step in at that resistance, and they may eventually push our price lower. And then I'll be looking to take my buys around this area, because this moving average usually acts as magnets for price. Okay. So that's one scenario. And then the other one would be if we eventually, if buyers are able to push price and hold that resistance at 1.40 or thereabout, that level automatically flips to support. Like I said, then I'll be buying at support. Right? I'll be buying at support. Those are the two expectations that I have for USD CAD. Right? All right. Gideon. Um, let's see. Before that, let's take a look at USD JPY. USD JPY. Because for this pay as well, USD is base. Okay, USD is base. Right. So I also have this ascending channel right here for USD JPY. Again, this is the daily time frame. I'd like to use this as an anchor chart to get important key levels and then tune down to the lower time frame, for me, preferably the 30-minute time frame for entry opportunities. All right. So right about now, we have price sitting on a support level, which comes in at price level 150.7. Okay, 150.7. Why is that significant? We look back to how price reacted to that same level in the past. You have your answer right there. Okay. So currently, price is sitting on this support level at 150.7. And then to take advantage of the dollar strength, especially what would be more convincing for that is if we now get a break above the 98.6 level that we highlighted for the USD index earlier. Okay, so for the USD JPY, we now take that to the 30 minutes time frame. Right, so what do we have? 30 minutes time frame, we now need to see some buying closure right there. What does that mean? We need some bullish reversal pattern. For example, if this 30 minutes candle now gives us a bullish engulfing candle, okay, that would be my confirmation to long USD JPY. It gives us that from the current level, okay? Right. See how it's sitting on the 21 period moving average. Okay, so from this current level, if I get some bullish reversal pattern, like I said, maybe a bullish engulfing candle, then that will be my confirmation to uh, go in for a buy, right? For USD JPY. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. You can set pending orders, especially if you would not be able to stay on the chart. You can do that, set pending orders, all right? So that price triggers those orders as soon as it gets there, okay? So that those levels can be triggered automatically, okay? So the expectation for USD JPY, one, I'm waiting for price to give me some bullish confirmation from the current level. For example, if I get a bullish engulfing candle, all right, at the end of these 30 minutes, that would be my confirmation to buy. Okay, that would be my confirmation to buy. Um, trying to see which one to look at to AUD USD and USD CHF. Okay, let's look at USD CHF, especially because it's also sitting on this support. Okay, so we have support at 0.792 for USD CHF. We have support at 0.792. Okay, and then if you also look at this trend line resistance, it has impacted price multiple times right here. Resistance for price right here as well, right here as well, right here as well. And then we've got some confluence right here as well. Price eventually broke above that, only to close back inside of that triangle. Okay, so what does that mean for price? We have support at 0.792. We have resistance around 0.794. Okay, oh, this is going to be very interesting to see eventually. Reason is because we now expect price to break out of this squeeze. Okay, expect price to break out of this squeeze, and to a very large extent, the direction in which this breaks out will be very, very significant. Okay, will be very significant. All right, for USD CHF. All right. So one, we have this trend line resistance, and then we have these support right here at 0.792, and then trend line resistance right here as well, around 0.794. So like I said, we now need price to break out of that squeeze, okay? Now need price to break out of that squeeze. And to a very large extent, the direction in which that breakout happens will determine where this goes next. Now, because USD is the base currency here, I'll be more tilting to the bullish side, okay? I'll be tilting to the bullish side, especially if we now see the USD index take out resistance at 98.6 price level, as we highlighted earlier, okay? Now, all of this is on a daily time frame. Let's see what it looks like on 30 minutes. Okay, you see how it's already looking bullish on the 30 minutes time frame. So we see this reversal pattern, then we're seeing some fantastic follow through right there. Okay, seeing some fantastic follow through right there. All right, and then we need to keep eyes on the trend line resistance. We need to keep watching the trend line resistance. Okay, that's it for USD CHF. Oh, I looked at oil earlier, probably joined late, probably joined late. So like I said, there's been, and this will be the last one for today, there's been some concerns over excess oil supply. And there's been in recent times another announcement by OPEC that starting from November, they're going to increase oil production across board by 137,000 barrels per day, and then that would mean that we get a surplus. Okay, and surplus would mean that oil price would experience a decline. Okay, and so far we have been seeing how that. Okay, uh, lost signal for a bit. It's back up now. Yeah, so I was making reference to oil. And then, like I said, you see how that particular news has been playing out on the chart. So as you see right now, it's now close to support at 59.5 price level. Okay, it's now close to support. So what's my expectation? You see, if you look back, you see how that same level impacted price in the past. This was back in May, and then this was back in April as well. Okay, so this is one to keep eyes on. Okay, this is one to keep our eyes on. Endurance, not sure what was said. If they want to put it in the chat box. If you're being pretty, endurance. No, I believe you have your expectation. I wouldn't call it great. I'm sure you have your expectation, especially if it is going in the direction. All right. I believe you have the expectation. Okay. You must have mapped out your important levels, and then you should also have a target, all right, for your trade. Okay. Usually when I execute my trades, I wait for it to play out based on my target levels. All right. I expect it to play out based on that. Okay. So I wouldn't call it great. I'm sure you must have done that as well. And then you're expecting price to hit your target level as well. So for oil, continue to look for opportunities to sell. Right. So far, it's still looking pretty much bearish. So we continue to look for opportunities to sell, right? Taking it back to 30 minutes time frame now, because we now need to determine uh, exactly where to sell. That's what it means. Okay, so this is the 30 minutes time frame. That's what it looks like right here. Right. So for me, I'll be waiting for price to take out this trend line. So on this note, we call it a day. I believe it's a fine place to leave it for today. We've been able to touch on a number of assets so far. One, we can take the instant opportunities on them, and once we can add to our watch list to check for uh, the rest of today. All right. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join us on today's edition of our morning market review. Join us tomorrow, same time from 8 a.m. All right. I also use this opportunity to wish us a great trading day. Thank you very much. See you next time.